What's up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. You're back with me, Ian Kane, and DappRadar Meets. It's a massive welcome to this week's first installment of the show, and the date is Wednesday, August the 17th. A big hello to all the listeners, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. It's really cool to be here. This is my first one of the week, and I hope you guys are all having a good week, and so far some positivity is returning to the space. If you're not familiar with DappRadar, it's the world's leader in Dapp analytics and tracking. Our data feeds traditional media like Bloomberg and crypto-specific media like Cointelegraph and Decrypt. At the same time, our suite of products from the portfolio manager to the NFT value estimator give our community the tools they need to navigate the complex blockchain space. But most importantly, we give our users the information to stay ahead of the noise and stay well informed. So, as always, we record these sessions for people to catch up later. If you missed any of the old shows, you can head over to YouTube and grab them there. The collection is really starting to mount up. We've got hundreds and hundreds of videos over there, so go check it out. Right, so today, I'm pretty excited. We've got a different kind of show today. It's my pleasure to welcome YouTube creator and general creator and musician, Lil Bubble. He's lighting up YouTube with his satirical videos for quite some time now, and he's got a lot more up his sleeve. So I want to do a quick sound check. We got you there. How you doing, Little Bubble? You good?
Hey. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, man, we got you. How you doing today? Cool. You good?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Is it early morning over there, right? It's like 7 a.m.
No, I'm actually in Australia, so it's 6 p.m. at the moment.
Oh, nice. You finished your day, and I'm at the beginning. Nice. Good timings. All right, dude. I'm just gonna cover a bit of the news that's been cracking in the industry this week, and then we'll jump right in. All right. So give me a couple of minutes, and we will get to it.
Sounds good.
All right, man. So what's been happening this week in the world of dapps and blockchain? Probably the biggest story that came out was Acala Network saving their AUSD stablecoin. So it plummeted to zero. As things stand, experts believe the hackers stole around 1.6 million in the attack. After hearing about the hack, the Acala leadership immediately halted swaps and transfers from the affected parachain. The AUSD stablecoin has recovered nearly all of its value after it fell by more than 99%. But Acala and its token is not necessarily out of the woods. It's a pretty interesting story, and one that shows a little bit of positivity after a hack. But things are starting to change out there. We also, DappRadar released their new dapps report. This time we've covered the Potatoes, which is a new NFT collection, and it kind of bridges the gap between memes and Web3. We take a little dive in, and the report is a detailed analysis of financial metrics for the collection. And then I also write for DappRadar, so I took a look at Magic Eden, which is an NFT marketplace on Solana, which also integrated Ethereum NFTs recently. It's doing good things, and it's pretty much trying to knock OpenSea off its throne. So it's an interesting one to take a look at, and for now and the future. Right, and you can find all that on our blog. All you got to do is head over there, have a little look, and you'll find everything. But not now, because now we're going to jump into our podcast with Lil Bubble. So let me give you a little bit of an intro, and then we'll jump in. So Lil Bubble arrived on the scene with his parodies of popular songs by people like Avril Lavigne, Blink-182, and Lil Nas X. His Twitter, the crypto bubble, is where the magic started. And his most popular parody, which I think is still true, is All Time Lows. It's got nearly 500,000 views. Other popular videos include Old Town Road and Liquidated. And I was actually playing some of your music early doors there before we started the show. So actually, man, this is pretty weird, because when I was doing my research this morning, I found out that I remembered that I'd actually watched you perform at Block Show in Singapore in 2019. And I remember seeing CZ throwing t-shirts around, and it was pretty rock and roll, man, but it completely slipped my mind. I didn't put the dots together, right? So was that something that carried on after that? Because obviously COVID came along, and like you probably didn't have a chance to do many events, but have you been doing more events since then?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that, actually. That was like kind of right before the global COVID meltdown. So, no, short answer, no. Lil Bubble hasn't had a public performance since Block Show. That was the first. And yeah, that was actually, I just got married the week before that. So that was like a little Singapore trip / honeymoon / Lil Bubble performance. So yeah, that was a good time. And luckily we snuck that one in before the whole COVID thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, congratulations on your marriage. That's very cool, man. But yeah, that's a nice way to kick things off, right? Like get married and then go do a show in one of the biggest events in crypto. Very cool. But yeah,
It
like
was.
you said, the crypto meltdown kind of happened, and events kind of took a back seat for the time being. So hopefully they'll come back, man, and you might get some more opportunities there. All righty. So let's jump into some questions. So, as I said at the beginning, it's a bit of a different session today. Usually, we're interviewing people who are either at the head of a blockchain or at a Dapp project, but this is a different show because, yeah, this is a content creator that we're speaking to about making crypto music. And actually, I just noticed that you referred to yourself in the third person there, Lil Bubble. So I'm guessing it's kind of like you have a bit of separation between your personal and your music self, right?
Yeah, that's one of the daily struggles, I guess, of operating as Lil Bubble. It's definitely an alias, and it is a I guess you'd call him a fictional character that I created to release the music under. Yeah, so I wrote a few parody songs that I needed a name and a bit of an identity, and I guess they're written from the perspective of basically a degenerate crypto trader. So there's a bit of personal experience in there, but yeah, I definitely tend to separate myself from Lil Bubble as the character. He's a bit more of a degenerate than myself.
Okay, nice. No, it's cool because it gives me the indication then of how you approach your music career and how you're structuring things. So it's nice as well to get that. But why did you start doing this in the first place? Tell me about the kind of thought process. What made you start doing the crypto music channel specifically? Like, I'd also like to know, how did your music journey start? And was it your intention to be a crypto musician, or did that just kind of happen and now you're riding that wave? Like, so yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got into this whole thing and why you started doing it, man.
Yeah, okay. So there's a bit of a journey, and as I said, a bit of a separation between kind of myself as a person and Lil Bubble as the character. But I personally grew up writing music and playing in bands, and eventually became a producer DJ in the EDM scene and DJ'd in nightclubs around Australia, and had some of my songs from previous projects played on national radio and stuff.
Nice.
So I've got a lot of experience with the music production. And so, yeah, that carries into Lil Bubble as I make all the beats and the instrumentals and record and mix all the music myself. But the crypto side, I guess I got into crypto early 2017 and rode the whole ICO mania. And I started making crypto memes, just for like videos and snippets from funny movies and stuff. And I guess the idea for some songs stemmed from that. Being a musician, it's kind of something that runs through my head most days. I always have different ideas for different songs, and yeah, as I touched on earlier, I wrote I think I wrote "When Moon," which was the first
Yeah.
parody, and then that's kind of where I come up with the idea of Lil Bubble and the spaceman character as it fit in with like the whole When Moon and astronaut. And
Yeah.
basically I just leaned right into the existing crypto stereotype of the moon boy, and it just went from there. I kind of only really planned to do one or two songs as a joke, and they went pretty viral, and it kind of,
Yeah.
it was very addictive for myself too, being like right into crypto, and I guess it just snowballed from there, and still going. What is it now? Maybe 4 years later.
Yeah, I was checking this morning. You've got videos back there from those ICO days more actually in 2018 when things weren't so fun and you started then. I think there was a lot of content there. That's interesting though, that
Yep.
I kind of presume that would be your answer, man. That like, I guess one question I have is that do you have other sort of personalities alongside Little Bubble? Like you mentioned there that you're a DJ and producer. Is that brand or sort of persona still operating side by side with Little Bubble? Like, do you still have aspirations to go? I don't want to use the word serious. That's not nice. Into more like go back to EDM or like go away from this satire and get back to being a more kind of traditional musician in the charts. Like, is that something you're working towards, or are you still doing
Yeah.
it?
Funnily enough, Lil Bubble kind of stole the show, and it is my main musical focus. And I guess it was coming to a point where I'm very much a studio artist. I'm very introverted as a person, and so I'm not really at home playing in front of big audiences in nightclubs and stuff. I do enjoy it, but there's a lot of sort of
Yeah.
nerves and anxiety and build up, and like a lot of traveling by yourself and stuff like that. So the studio was where I really loved to be. So like this project happened, and kind of, as I said, it allowed me to blend like multiple interests into one. And then COVID kind of happened as well, and a lot of my connections and my friends in the EDM scene kind of got hit really hard by that, because obviously all the nightclubs stopped and there was no live music for probably 2 years. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that Lil Bubble sort of started to gain a bit of traction, and I was able to pivot most of my attention into that, and I wasn't really affected by the whole COVID thing so much. But in terms of the future, yeah, like I'm always working on different music on the side, and I've been sort of developing a solo album for many years now, and I would ultimately like to get that finished and released. But yeah, in terms of my EDM projects that were before Lil Bubble, they've kind of been wound down, and I'm not sure about any future plans in that space.
It makes a lot of sense what you're saying. Like, just so you know as well, man, like I spent about 10 years of my life as a DJ, producer, and I worked in the music industry as well. So when you were talking then about DJs on the road, you know, that kind of playing out in front of crowds, stuff like that, I think it's something that people don't think about much, about the DJ life. The kind of everybody just assumes it's the coolest thing in the world, but it's not. You're sitting on aeroplanes on your own, you're traveling on your own. Yeah, you know, it's quite a lonely, solitary lifestyle that I came to realize.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I completely relate to what you're saying there as well. And a lot of my friends were hit badly by COVID and kind of had to, even some of them ended up working in other jobs entirely. You know, they were chasing the music dream, and then it just kind of smashed around them. So always interesting though. It was I wanted to find out whether you've got other projects really that were kind of blooming, but as a professional musician, I was sure that you would do as well. So let's get back into Lil Bubble as well, man, and like why you're doing it as well. And there's a bit of a mixture of genres out there at the minute. What's your kind of vibe, man? Because I'm getting a bit of a hip hop vibe from you, but there's different genres that you're using for the satire. Do you really care much, or is it more just about the kind of just what like the appeal of the song? Like the Backstreet Boys one is great, in my opinion. It's just cool. Like, what's your vibe though, man? What's your genres?
I have a very eclectic musical taste, and that sort of translates into what I like writing and writing, producing, and performing. So this is kind of like the dream project for me, in that I get to experiment with a lot of different sounds and a lot of different genres. Whereas, yeah, I'm sure as you're aware, like once you're sort of set in a regular, I guess, artist persona, you're kind of boxed into to what that brand is and what you can and can't spend your time on. So I had the same issue even as a teenager in bands and stuff. Like you'd start a punk band, and then you'd kind of be stuck with that sound, and I'd want to play some metal or some softer rock, and it's kind of, you have to start a new project, and yeah, all those things. But that's why, yeah, yeah, like as I hinted before, I grew up playing punk and rock and metal, and I was a big rap fan growing up. But in terms of Lil Bubble, funnily enough, yeah, it is. You pretty much nailed it on the head. Like I'd love to take it in more of a hip hop direction, and that's where I've actually just finished up Lil Bubble's debut album, and it's predominantly like hip hop, R&B, I guess you'd call it. It's the same sort of very tongue in cheek. It's still the Lil Bubble sound and the Lil Bubble character, but they're obviously original songs, and yeah, very hip hop beat based, which is where I'd like to take him as his own kind of artist.
I really like the vibes, like, and it's popular right now, right? And it gives you the opportunity to do the written word a bit more as well. You know, your lyrics are important, so yeah, it gives you that opportunity, doesn't it, in that style of music, to really let people hear the words that you're saying as well. All right,
Yeah.
tell me about your spacesuit, man. Why are you rocking a spacesuit? Is this an anon thing, or is this like, is it just weird in Australia? Like, tell us a bit about this. Tell us about this, man.
Yeah, it kind of was a number of reasons. Like I said, when I wrote the first song, When Moon, and I guess it was the anonymous tendencies of the whole crypto space. I was like, oh, I'll create an anonymous character for this. It just kind of worked, and the space theme, the Moon Boy theme, was kind of the big stereotype in the crypto space at the time. The song was space themed. It kind of worked, so I ordered a $200 plastic spacesuit from AliExpress, and that was the character. But yeah, I've actually got a whole wardrobe full of spacesuits at the moment. I think I've got got maybe 3 or 4 of the original Lil Bubble style, which is a very plastic kind of.
Yeah, it's quite
Um,
shiny, right? Like,
yeah, and it does not breathe at all. So it is like, honestly, it's like, when fighters cut weight for a fight and they wear like
yeah,
plastic
yeah, yeah,
bags. Like,
those
it's
sweatsuits.
it's literally like filming a Lil Bubble music video is like that. I'll have to like drink 20 gallons of water just to recover. But I sweat so much and it's disgusting. So I tend to replace those suits pretty frequently. But yeah, I've just had a bit more of a custom suit developed, which is a lot more breathable, like a cotton fabric,
Awesome.
which is going to be a lot nicer moving forward. And yeah, it's a bit more customized, so it's got like the little bubbles, blue Bitcoin logo on the chest, and yeah, it's a bit nicer.
Nice, man. It's like Iron Man's V3 suit, right? It's a little bit more teched up for you. I can just imagine you in the
Yeah,
morning going to your wardrobe and finding like 4 spacesuits and just kind of, fingering through them, like which one shall I put on today? What's the weather like today? All right, cool, man.
yeah,
That's interesting as well. I think the anon thing in music as well is it has worked for people. I think it does a nice. Sometimes it's better to kind of keep yourself hidden and fully jump into the whole idea of it, right? And I think it fits really well. All right. So you started off. Sorry. So what I wanted to talk to you about was the metaverse a little bit, because obviously you're in Web3 and that's your passion and that's kind of where you're at. Now I don't know if you've done any sort of shows in the metaverse, and we've seen other artists doing stuff in the metaverse as well. Have you got any plans to kind of do something on that side of things, where you take this personality and take it into a metaverse play, or yeah, like a virtual? Yeah, have you got any thoughts around this, or have you even done things like this that I've not seen?
yeah. So I haven't really done it as of yet, but it's definitely something I'm super excited about. As I said, I'm at home when I'm in the studio and I'm creating stuff. So I guess like a virtual performance and some kind of I
Yeah.
guess mashup of like real world and produced sets and like just things that allow me to add a bit of production value in terms of like animation and video and preparing things. I kind of guess it's really suited to what I do and what I like to do. And obviously, as you touched on, the metaverse is a big Web3 thing at the moment, so it seems very fitting for Lil Bubble and the project as a whole. So yeah, definitely super excited to move into the metaverse and start doing things. I've been building a few bits and pieces with some friends and some builders in different areas. So at the moment, we're putting a few things together in a sandbox and spatial. They're two that I'm kind of meddling with at the moment, and I guess a lot of them are still kind of taking shape. And I think we're going to see a big increase in the number of platforms and
Yeah.
metaverse worlds that become available, and I guess the tools will become more accessible and stuff. So yeah, I'm super excited to add that to Lil Bubble's repertoire and start doing some performances and fun sort of interactive things with the community.
Yeah, nice. It kind of makes organic sense, right? I can definitely see it working there. So cool. It's good to hear that you're starting to play around. It's still early days for metaverse plays as well. A lot of the news we see, it kind of gives the impression it's all fully developed, but still a
Yeah,
great time to jump in and get involved. Like this is arguably still very early. So I've got to ask you,
definitely.
like, is this your full-time thing? This is your full-time role, right? This is what you're up to, wearing space,
No,
plus the
not
music.
quite.
You got other things happening?
Yeah, I'm actually a graphic designer by day, so
Ah,
visual arts. So yeah, growing up, I was very just art and music was pretty much my life as a kid, and I guess before I got into music, I was just drawing from a very young age and just always had art books and drew comics and all that kind of thing. And I think I remember quite vividly actually in high school, it was like there wasn't kind of, I guess you'd say like the internet wasn't as open as it is now, and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of like, okay, you need to find a career, you need to find a real job. And I guess I just picked up like a career book and I saw graphic design, and that kind of sounded like the closest thing to an artist. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny, right?
and that's what happened.
We see these descriptions when we're young teenagers and think, yep, that's for me for the rest of my life. It's always an interesting one. That one seems to
Yeah, yeah, but it's actually it's really handy because I obviously can. Yeah, I do all Little Bubbles video editing and all the artwork and the graphics and a bit of animation and stuff. So it's really handy. Just being able to, like work on your own website and make your own social media content and stuff yourself. It's come in really handy kind of for Lil Bubble and music projects and stuff.
Yeah, definitely, man. Having that understanding of graphic design, some marketing and sales, it's what gets a project off the ground, right? And if you're doing it, you don't want a big team at the beginning, obviously. So having a one-man band is good. But how do you touchy question. How are you monetizing your work? I mean, you mentioned you're a graphic designer there as well, and we're going to touch on your NFT collection in a second. But generally, across the sort of Little Bubble side of things, how are you monetizing? You got merchandise? Can I get a Little Bubble T-shirt? Like, what kind of stuff is going on there?
Yeah, so there's been a merch store. I've been selling a fair bit of merch for the last few years, but I'm actually working on a very much more customized merch line at the moment. Which I've got some samples sitting behind me at the moment. But there's a full tracksuit. I actually posted a sneak photo on Twitter maybe yesterday or the day before of the new Lil Bubble tracksuit. But there'll be other things like hats and stuff. But I do have a sponsor. Lil Bubble sponsored by 1inch Exchange, which is very helpful. They kind of help. That really helps fund the production of the music and the videos and stuff. It helps me outsource a little bit, so I'm just not overworked, and it really just helps me increase the output of what I can release, and that's really helpful. It helps me cover some business expenses and stuff like that. I have worked on a few sponsored songs in the past, but it's not really something that I'm offering now. I actually get a lot of requests from a lot of projects that want like a specific song about their project, but it's just not really a fit, and it's understandably like not really what the Lil Bubble audience is there for. So I just want to be very mindful of that and what the music that they like and what they expect. So really like a sponsor. Just on speaking of the new spacesuit, I've got a little 1-inch patch on the chest, which is kind of cool. But that's kind of the most non-intrusive way to monetize the project at the moment. I think it doesn't really interrupt anything and sort of allows me to create the content that people know and love, and doesn't shove anything down their throats. And and like we said, I guess performances might pick back up with the world opening back up again, and that's another kind of way to potentially monetize. But as of now, that's pretty much all there is. And as you touched on, there's an NFT project coming up which will be cool as well.
Yeah, man. Well, just to touch on that 1-inch stuff, I mean, that's very cool that they're willing to sponsor and give the freedom as well, and create. And this is a creative industry where freedom is needed. I couldn't agree with you more about sticking and being arrogant with your style and not kind of being a sellout. Basically, man, is what we're saying, isn't it? Like writing songs about anything for money. It's not the vibe, right? So that's cool to hear as well, that it'll stay in its current format, and for the fans as well. That's really, really good. And content is important, right? Especially when you're running a YouTube channel, you've got to be regular, otherwise the algorithms basically punish you, and you've got to be on top, right? You've got to keep coming with fresh content all the time. Just out of interest, what is that kind of rate? Like, how often do you have to put a video out there in order to stay relevant on the tube?
Kind of since I started, my aim has just been one music video per month, and I've pretty much stuck to that for the last 3 or 4 years. Sometimes it's more. So in like the bull market, I tend to be a lot more regular because the audience is there and they want more music, and everything just performs much better. And as anyone in the industry would know, like just the engagement across the board is through the roof when the market's on the way up. So, and I tend to try to bank songs so I've got them there, so I'm ready for certain market conditions and that type of thing, which is something I've learned to do over the last few years as I kind of tightened up the way that I produce and write and prepare myself. But so like the one a month is kind of a bare minimum for me, and I'm looking to really increase that in the coming months and year. Like I've got, as I mentioned, a whole album full of original music which will need videos and stuff, and after that I just plan on pumping out like mini EPs and a lot more original music, and maybe if it's one original then one parody in that order, or depending on the number of originals I end up producing, a kind of just to mix things up a bit. But I'd like to at least double the output if I can.
Yeah, man, it's not so easy, is it? Quite easy to say, but I like the idea that you're already building content around market cycles as well. It's pretty smart, man. Like, so when something happens, you drop it out there. Also, like, obviously, you were saying during the bull run, everybody's hyped up, and I couldn't agree with you more. Like, obviously, traffic and kind of attention are down during a bear market cycle, but you find that some of your songs are hitting the right notes with people, forgive the pun, in this situation. Like I was watching one of them this morning and I'm sitting there listening to it, and it's like you've written it for me, man. Like you're making me smile, you're making me smile quite a lot. Like, do you find that traction is still pretty high right now, or is it a bit of a struggle to kind of get out there? Or
Yeah, I guess Lil Bubble is a bit of a different case in that regard because his bear market tunes tend to perform quite well, and they obviously, like you said, they strike a chord with the audience and stuff. And Lil Bubble was born in a bear market, and the first kind of handful of songs were all kind of bottom of the market, doom and gloom songs. But I guess they perform well. Some of them really take off, but I guess when the market is overall down and there's just a fraction of the people online and looking to consume crypto related content in the bear markets, so I guess you no matter what, you're really fighting an uphill battle. But like I said, like the Little Bubble bear market content is kind of a staple, and luckily there's still an audience for that. And I get a lot of comments saying the same thing, like
man.
they feel like I've written the song for them, which is cool to kind of relate to people in that way.
Honestly, like when we've got a couple of members of staff who are like well into it, and they post the videos in our Slack chat all the time, and it just cheers everybody up, man. Like we just check the video, having a bit of a crappy day, and it's like, oh, this will cheer. So you should be very proud, man. Like you're putting a lot of smiles on faces. All right, dude. So you've mentioned this album, so now we're going to jump in and talk about this. So the first, and you've got perks for OG holders as well. So I don't know where to start with this. I think perhaps we should start with the NFT collection and then move into the album. Seems as the two connect a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go tell us a little bit about these Lil Bubble OG NFTs? Like why, how, when, what are they all about, man?
Yeah, so I kind of engineered this concept in reverse. I produced the album, finished it up, and I wanted to release it in NFT format with like generative art, and each NFT will have one of the songs off the album in the background. So and that'll be like a rarity ranked trait of the NFT. So there'll be some rarer songs on the album and stuff like that. But then I was kind of trying to work out the best way to release them, and I thought it would be much better to release a project before the album to work as kind of like a ground zero, and so any Lil Bubble fans and followers can own Lil Bubble Original. That's the name that I came up with. So we'll call them OGs for short. Mm-hmm. And then they can kind of have access to free mints and other things that I do from that point forward, rather than starting with a specific album. We'll have an original, which then kind of can be built on top of. So that's kind of like an access key or a community token, if you want to think of it that way. And then it's kind of, like my own personal digital distribution network that allows me to distribute my album to the holders, and then there'll be merch access and metaverse access, and then subsequent albums after that, and free mints and all kinds of stuff. So that was the idea behind the OGs collection. And they're also so they're nice little pixel art Lil Bubble characters, and they're made up of traits from actual costumes that have been used in the Lil Bubble music videos up until now. So there's like the Christmas sweaters with the ETH and the Bitcoin logos, and there's the bear character and different types of spacesuits and all different instruments and stuff. And so the name Originals kind of fits in a few ways, in that these NFTs themselves, in a very basic pixel art form, allow me to kind of evolve and build upon them in the future. And we might be able to release some special kind of, I guess you'd compare it to what Bored Ape Yacht Club did with the Serum and the Mutant Apes. Yeah. So we can kind of evolve these originals into more detailed or even animated characters in the future.
Nice, man. It's a really cool idea. How is the so the album, how is that being delivered in digital format? Like how are you I guess what I'm asking is, are you tapping into Web3 technologies like using sort of Audius or Recordbox or any of those sort of DApp platforms? Or is it, how are you delivering the album? Is it standard like iTunes, or is it an NFT? How's that working?
Yeah, so there'll be all the standard Web2 distribution tools and platforms like your Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that.
Nice.
Just because I like to keep it accessible for anybody who wants to stream. And yeah, there'll be Audius as well. I treat Audius. I think all my music's on Audius as well, just
Nice.
as another platform for the crypto savvy folks.
Mm.
But yeah, the NFT collection that will accompany the album release, it will be a mint of a video NFT. So yeah, like I said, it will have generative art based on the album cover, and there'll be a song behind each one of those artworks. That will be, it'll be a free mint for the OG holders.
That's awesome, man. It makes a lot of logical sense in the way that you're doing it as well. Like, I know you said at the beginning you're kind of coming at it from a backwards direction, but it does make a lot of sense, right? And I've just had a question in actually from one of the listeners about the NFTs. So I'll read this out for you. It's from Wazzers. So, as Lil Bubble is doing a new collection, will holders of his other NFT collections get a free mint, or is that not planned?
Yes, yeah. Anyone that owns an existing Lil Bubble NFT, I have released a limited amount in the past, different collectibles for the parody songs and that type of thing. They will all have access to a free mint of the Lil Bubble OGs. So yeah, definitely want to give existing holders the same treatment moving forward.
Nice, man. And so the whitelist is up for the OG collection, right? What's the process there, man? How can people get involved with that? Like, what's the timelines that we're talking about?
Yep, the whitelist is currently open for the OGs, so that can be accessed through the website lilbubble.club.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there's 500 spots on the whitelist, and when we fill that, we'll look at doing the OG mint.
How big's
and go from there. Yeah,
how big's the collection, dude?
1,000.
1,000.
Only 1,000 pieces. Yeah. I wanted to keep it nice and small because I'm obviously just a one-man artist here, and don't want to go too crazy trying to sell out 10,000 NFTs or anything.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. Like I said, it makes sense. You've got this audience that are tuned into your creative process already, so you would assume that they'd be quite keen to get involved further as well. So that's really cool, man. This is a bit of a side question again, because I feel like you and I have got quite a lot in common here. I saw a skateboard in your video, man. Like you're riding around on this skateboard. Is that a big part of your cultural sort of upbringing? Is that like, were you a skateboard kid hanging around at the skate park? Has that influenced your kind of your style and your creativity a little bit?
Yeah, that was 100% me as a teenager. Like me and my mates that were, our weekends were pretty much skateboarding, pizza, and band practice. So, grew up in the car parks riding skateboards and at the skate park and grind rails in the driveway and stuff. I was never the best skater in the world, but definitely loved it, and loved playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater every night as well. So that was a big part of myself, my culture growing up. And that was actually, that latest Lil Bubble music video with the skateboard was actually my mate, Gami, who runs an NFT project called NARS. That's GNARS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fork of Nouns. If you've heard of Nouns, the pixel NFTs. And it's actually a skateboard themed fork of Nouns. Sorry. So that skateboard in the video actually features the first noun that had a skateboard head. I think it was noun 189, which is owned by Gami. And so he bought that noun and used it as the face for his NARS brand. And it actually sponsors skaters and other extreme athletes with fund with DAO money, which is generated from the selling of their NFTs, which is kind of cool.
That's so cool, man. That's really cool. I'll have to look into that project a little bit more. So it's a forked version of the noun that had a skateboard, and obviously the copyright. Interesting, because I was actually writing about copyright and NFTs yesterday and didn't speak about nouns actually. And the noun collection is completely, the holders get all copyright. They have the right to use it commercially, right? That's what they've. The
nouns are actually CC0 or CC0, which is like a Creative Commons, and which is completely public, whatever the word is. It's in the public domain,
Yeah.
so anybody can use any nouns character for anything essentially. So anybody can fork nouns and use the traits and the artwork for essentially anything. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
All right, cool. All right, man. Well, yeah, you heard it here. So people that are interested in skateboarding, NFTs, that's a new project to go and check out there as well. All right, man. So I want to ask you, people get into this space for various reasons. So the question kind of is, are you in this for the music fame, the technology, the profits, or do you have like an underlying want to see blockchain change how we do business, for crypto and DeFi to change how we how we approach business, how we approach payments, how we approach our transactions with each other? Is that of kind of a vibe to you? Did you get into that? Did you buy into that early doors?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of all of the above. I think I found, especially a lot of the people I know in the industry, it's kind of like a Trojan horse. You turn up to make money, and then
Yeah.
you kind of fall down your rabbit hole, and you realize, like the possibilities with all this technology, and you realize how much better it is to the alternative old school banking system. And then you see things being built out like dapps and NFTs came along, and it just keeps getting better and better. So yeah, definitely I kind of started to make money. I'd kind of heard about Bitcoin for years and years, and it just seemed to keep going up and up and up. So I was finally, 2017 is when I bit the bullet, and actually a friend got me into Ethereum pretty early.
Nice.
And then it went from there. But yeah, I guess it didn't take long. I guess it happens to most people that you kind of fall down the rabbit hole and start researching and learning about more and more projects and the different possibilities, and it goes from there. But yeah, and definitely now I'm realizing more and more every day how broken the existing systems are, especially in terms of banking and finance and stuff. I've just started a new company for some business and for the Lil Bubble project and stuff, and it was just an absolute nightmare. It took weeks to even get bank accounts opened, and then you had to like PayPal and all these stuff. It just took weeks and weeks to get money that I kind of like. Getting paid in crypto, you click on a button and you've got a new MetaMask address, and you copy paste it to someone. Here you go, you get paid. And then it took me nearly a month to get some of that money into a bank account that I could actually buy something in the real world. So it's kind of a massive disconnect there, and it just kind of makes you appreciate more the streamlined nature of the Web3 thing.
That's interesting that you kind of lean in on the Web2 tech to handle that side of your admin and business as well. Like, are you considering to look at the kind of Web3 invoicing solutions and do it, like, as you say, like you can wait. For example, we had a chat with a DJ a few months ago, and he was telling us about the process for getting paid by YouTube for views. I think he said 6 months. Is that right? Like, you're literally waiting months and months and months for, in some cases, what can be quite a small payout.
Yeah.
But with crypto payments, you can instantly. But everybody in the value chain has to adopt. But I guess from your side personally, are you interested in the kind of Web3 invoicing and payment side of things? Have you tried to kind of encourage people to use it? Yeah, talk to us a bit about that. Is it on your roadmap to kind of get into those things?
Yeah, I'd if it was up to me, I'd use everything Web3. So yeah, a lot of my income and stuff where it can be is crypto based, because as I said, there's just much less friction. It's super easy. But yeah, it's purely where out of necessity I have to have money to pay for certain things, whether that be merch that's currently in development with different suppliers and factories that don't accept cryptocurrency, and just like camera equipment, or if there's a certain, like, I definitely just out of pure ease I try to use crypto wherever possible. But yeah, as you said, it's just not really possible in every aspect just yet, which is unfortunate.
It's getting there. There's companies pushing in that direction. I think in the next kind of 5 years, we're going to see that. And I've been doing a lot on it recently, and just seeing the savings that can be made by people like yourself. If you want to take card payments, things like this, it becomes horrendously expensive for small business. So yeah, man, just an interest. It's interesting that you're using the Web2 processes. So you're a Web3 person who's kind of getting trapped in these Web2 processes, right?
Yeah.
Annoying. Same for all of us, though, I guess. Like, now I'm thinking about it. Same for all of us. I mean, PayPal for me is like the devil, but yeah, sometimes we still have to use it, right? So do you actively trade cryptos? Are you a trader, or are you more of a holder? Like, what's your vibes? Are you a degen? I guess is the question.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely was. I'm a bit more tame these days, but yeah, I definitely still trade. I'm definitely active, and I'm on TradingView every day. But yeah, I guess the one downside to the Lil Bubble project is it takes away the time that I would have previously had to research and trade and be more active myself as a participant in the space. So it just makes it a bit harder to even keep up with news and current events. And as we all know, that the space moves so quick, you kind of got to have a bit of time up your sleeve to kind of keep a finger on the pulse and know what's happening and be able to trade and whatnot. But yeah, definitely, I'm always will be active, I think, with the trading. And but yeah, the current market conditions too, I kind of have taken a bit of more of a responsible role in these conditions. I guess I'm mainly kind of holding Bitcoin and ETH, starting to dip my toes back into some alts at the moment. But yeah, I really will only trade very actively within like a full blown bull market when it's nice and easy. And yeah.
Got it. No, it's a good way to be. I think a lot of people perhaps that got burned, this may be their second or third time of getting burned in the cycle, right? And I think from the people I speak to, we're all okay about it. Like, I'm not annoyed about it. I'm quite happy. Not well, happy is a strong word, but this is a time for building. And I think some of the things that you've said as well, it'll give you that little breathing space to create more content, to sit back and kind of look at your 4-year journey thus far and try and figure out where you're headed next as well. So it's good to have that breathing space, I think, man. But
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing breathing space is a great word. It gets a bit hectic, especially towards the end of a bull cycle, and it's just moving so quickly. And you're a content creator, so you're trying to make and build and trade and keep up with everything. And it's kind of like a bit of a sigh of relief when you've got some time to just build. Yeah,
absolutely, man. There's only so many hours in the day, right? And obviously you revealed earlier you're a married man, so I can relate. We don't get much time, right? Pretty tricky. So yeah, I don't know. I really sometimes, a lot of the time I watch YouTube creators and I think, how do you have the time to do this, man? Like, what's the kind of creative process behind a video, dude? Like, how long does it take you from conception through till delivery on a music video? Is it kind of like a month, or is it a couple of weeks, or is it all different? How does it? What's the kind of creative process?
It's kind of all different, but I guess I'm blessed in the fact that Lil Bubble was born as a bit of a meme, and I was able to keep the production kind of unpolished and raw from day one, which helped in my favor pretty much. I do that with the music as well. Like, a lot of the music, the vocals that you hear are kind of first or second take, because it kind of sounds just a bit more raw, and especially with the funny the meme songs, it's a bit funnier. You don't really want like a perfect polished production when you're trying to be funny. And I guess the same applies to the video, especially the early videos. That's literally just me with like a $600 vlog camera. I called up one of my mates and said, "Hey, this is a bit weird, but I'm going to put this spacesuit on, and can you just stand there and film this, and I'm going to do this and that." And they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, sure." Like,
cool.
But yeah, it's a pretty quick process in terms of the videos for Lil Bubble. I guess you'd shoot a video in an hour or two, and then the edit will take maybe a few days, depending on how involved I plan on. I want to make it. But yeah, that's kind of the meme quality videos that have been released so far. With the original music that I'm working on now, I think I'm planning on stepping things up a little bit, and I want to release some, like some legitimate singles for Lil Bubble. So I think I'll put a bit more effort into those videos, and possibly even look at getting a bit of a film crew together and doing something a bit more polished. So that will be a different story.
Nice, man. That's so more evolution of the style as well. That's really, really cool. All right. One thing just came to mind. Like, I was looking yesterday. I don't know if you know about this, where Dre and Eminem basically used their Bored Ape Yacht Club avatars to make a music video where they actually featured their BAYC faces there and used them as characters. Are you an NFT holder? You got any fancy NFTs? Any ideas to kind of do something like that with your NFT, or perhaps you're not even a holder? What's in your wallet, Lil Bubble? What you got?
I do have a bunch of NFTs. I think My favorite project is probably Deadfellas. I heard you playing the Deadfellas song before I jumped on the stage here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a bunch. Like honestly, probably too many to even recall without looking through my wallet. But yeah, I've got Deadfellas, Robotos, some G-Vols. What else?
Anything
What else?
anything
Oh,
you
I've
can
got
use with full creative rights in your collection? You know, I'm thinking like a noun or something like
yeah. I'm not sure.
that.
Like I don't know if I have any that I have full kind of IP usage rights for. But yeah, I have had that idea in the back of my mind, and I know Spotty Wi-Fi was probably the first guy to take that concept and build a artist persona around his NFT IP. So yeah, shout out to Spotty for the foresight with that one. But yeah, there's probably like it's I guess hours in the day is the
Yeah.
biggest downfall. Like I've got my hands full with Lil Bubble, and yeah, I would definitely love to start other side projects and different aliases and personas with other projects. But for now, it's Lil Bubble, and yeah, we'll build from there.
Yeah, man. No, I feel you. The 24 hours in the day is just not enough, right? And we all have to sleep as well, unfortunately. So there's just not enough.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't ask you a little bit about dapps. We are DappRadar. That's what we do. We track decentralized applications. So what's your category of dapps, man? Do you dabble in games? Are you an NFT enthusiast? Maybe you're a DeFi head. What's your vibe, or maybe across all?
Yeah, I've probably dabbled in most. Yeah, during the kind of last 12 to 24 months, especially during DeFi summer, I was a bit of a degen and going crazy on whatever DeFi DApp that came along that day on whatever chain it happened to be on
Oh
or
gosh.
whatever layer it happened to be on. But yeah, that was kind of so there was a bit of farming and liquidity pooling and whatever else was going on there. In terms of these days, I guess the main DApp I'd use would be just a DEX or just an exchange, which is 1inch. Funnily enough, shout out to my sponsor, but that's what I use
I was
to
hoping you were
do most of that's what I actually use to do most of my transactions. It's just easy because it kind of gets you the best swap route across whatever DEX is available, so you don't really have to jump between anything.
Yeah, nice.
They've got a lot of chains now, so yeah, that's kind of me at the moment. Yeah, like I said, I'm a bit less active at the moment just because of the market conditions and that type of thing. But no doubt there'll be a new craze coming up soon enough, and I'll jump on board there and go crazy with it.
Oh yes, there'll be something, I'm sure. We're just waiting for that next train to pull into the station, I think. So
Yeah,
you're as a digital artist and a musician as well. One of the things that interests me in that space is how you can build kind of customer interaction, listener loyalty, those kind of things with the use of Web3 tech like Popes, like the proof of attendance, with NFTs, with other things like an NFT music downloads as well. Would you say you're fully entrenched in there, or are you just kind of observing what's maybe possible using Web3 and music? Like, I really like the idea of Popes, for example. And say, for example, you played your gig in Singapore and then you're doing another gig, you could drop like an invite into the wallets of the people that saw you at your other show. Like, are you exploring those kind of things? Do they
mm.
interest you, or is it just kind of a, are we back onto the time issue again?
Yeah. It's a bit of all of the
Yeah.
above. Like I'm definitely not as entrenched as I would like to be, and as entrenched as I should be.
Mhm.
I keep meaning to put time aside to just really check out what's out there and how it can be used. But definitely, I think as well. Like I look at building myself a bit of a team to help with this kind of thing moving forward, whether that's like a management team or an advisory or marketing team, or just somebody that can help with a bit of Web3 strategy and the best way to move forward with it all. Because there's, like you'd know, there's so many tools out there and there's so many different ways that you can do things. But yeah, that's what kind of really interests me about the NFT thing, as you said, being able to airdrop. And yeah, like I kind of called it before, I view it as like your own distribution network. It's a lot, I guess you'd call it like a non-custodial distribution network. It's kind of something that a third-party Web2 platform doesn't own. Like if you've got a Facebook or a Twitter or whatever, and you could spend years and years building that up, and that could disappear in one day, whether they kick you off the platform or the platform goes down or
Yeah.
uh, any reason. But kind of if you've got like a collection of holders that have your NFTs on the blockchain that kind of can't go anywhere, and you can always reach them somehow. And that's kind of, I think that's very powerful, and that's what will be used moving forward to kind of build new ways of doing things.
I've got a question about the kind of, when you're looking for the technology and the solutions to kind of help you as well. I mean, something we do at DappRadar is we're constantly trying to write about and educate the audience. But as you say rightly, there's so much on offer. You find it quite confusing out there, man. Like looking at, I mean, there's probably a million services that will help you create a pope for an event, but is it just too much and too noisy? Or, I guess the question is, do you think there's a space here for people to come and help musicians to achieve Web3? I see it as a no-brainer for musicians, but I don't see that. And it's a horrible thing because I'm talking about a middleman, basically, aren't I? I'm talking about someone who can come in, slide in the middle, and help, because you're busy, right? So, do you think there's a future here where we see a kind of third-party setup where you can take your ideas to a company and say, look, I'm a musician, but I haven't got time to really dive into Web3. I do understand it. Do you think we're going to start seeing that, like MoonPay's helping people buy NFTs? Do you think there's a gap here for like a company to assist musicians?
I think there is, and it's kind of like you said. I think it might even be necessary, especially at the moment. I think because it's just so early days. There's so many options, and it's kind of hard to see one that's an outlier or like ahead of its field. Like it's kind of everything's all sprouting out of the ground, and there's a 1,000 different options, and there's no. For instance, there's no Spotify or there's no clear winner where it's just a no-brainer. Yep, I'm going to do that one. So, and there's it's a good and a bad thing. But yeah, it's bad in that an artist or anyone really only has so many hours in the day, and they can't really experiment with 100 platforms. So it's hard to make that choice. And I guess the whole middleman thing, I guess that's how our labels have always worked back in the day, and it makes sense. Like an artist doesn't really know how to build the machine that they have, so they're a bit of a necessary evil in that regard. With like, okay, here's the music, we're going to put it in this marketing pipeline and these distribution services, and we're going to do PR and this, that, and the other that the artists really can't really handle on their own. So
I couldn't agree more. When I was working with artists, I used to say to them, you focus on the music production, leave the rest of the admin and the kind of business side of things to me. And that meant that, because I noticed really early, they're just not interested, most of them, in that side of things. They didn't become an artist to be a businessman. So asking them to do like admin sheets, filling out riders, all these other things, they just weren't into it. They were just like, I don't want to do this. I want to make tunes, man. Like you do the boring thing.
Exactly.
So I can see that necessary. We call it a necessary evil. I guess it's just the way that because of the way they take so much of the split from artists. But we can change that, man. Like we can use I guess I would ask you, and we're getting towards the end of the session, so I always like to get a little bit kind of theoretical towards the end. But what are your thoughts on like how blockchain can assist the music industry? Like I see massive problems in the music industry. I worked in it, and it's legacy stuff, and it just feels like nobody's willing to make a change. Have you got any thoughts on how you think we could make changes in using this technology to better creators, to better musicians?
Yeah, I think a lot of it can come down to being able to connect directly with the consumer and the fans, and being able to like distribute and bounce back between each other with less, I guess you'd call it, less middlemen. You always need some form of middleman, but a lot of the pain I see, or the pain points I see for artists, especially independent artists, is just the lack of obviously a major label has the pulling power, and they get their releases on the Spotify playlists, and they get the radio, and they've got they can push your music in ways that an independent music can't. So I guess that's if Web3 and the solutions that come out of this are able to offer something to kind of help with that, whether it's just the fact that labels no longer have the power to instantly walk onto a new platform and own it and put their artists at the top, something that's more of an equal playing field for all artists involved on the Web3 platforms might even be a massive help.
It would, I think. There's also the issue of the kind of like you said there, that chicken and egg. I think the biggest issue in the music industry is We talk about applying blockchain to the kind of, building a ledger of payments, but the biggest problem I see in the music industry is that labels and publishers sometimes don't actually know who to pay. Is that royalty splits are not done correctly, and other, yeah,
Yeah,
it's grassroots issues with music that we need to solve first. Then we can bolt on some technology to make things work properly. So yeah, I find it a very interesting topic. I think it's one of the sectors of the industry that hasn't been disrupted enough so far. So I think it's cool that guys like you are
mm,
doing what you're doing, because you're arguably putting it on the map a little bit more, bringing attention into the sort of combination of Web3 and through making people laugh rather than trying to like educate them, on the deeper side of blockchain technology, which is arguably a little bit boring to people who
yeah,
don't care, right? I'd like to see you do that as a song,
yeah,
actually. If you can, if you can explain like blockchain to your granny in a 2 minute, 2 minute
yeah.
hit, that would be wonderful, man. That's
Uh,
a challenge and a half.
yeah, I've kind of yeah, I use the analogy, and I was talking to someone the other day, and they were asking how to kind of onboard people
Hmm.
and how to educate people, and I had to think about it, and I really like thought back to when I first started using the internet, and
Yeah.
like they were saying, oh, people don't understand NFTs and they don't understand this. How do we make them understand? And I said, well, I don't think you can make somebody understand. You need to just wait until an attractive use case comes along and they jump on because they want to use whatever the platform is offering. Like, I didn't know what the internet was and I didn't really care, but I wanted to download music and talk to my friends on MSN after school. So that's how I learned how to use the internet. It's kind of the tools that are built on top of it that appeal to a wider audience, that kind of onboard them in like a frictionless way. And I guess the education takes care of itself. So
Absolutely, man. Couldn't agree with what you just said more. I think that kind of education comes from trying and using and doing, and as you say, like when you find something, a compelling reason to learn, basically. Like, I'm not interested in learning about like deep sea oil rigs because I'm never going to do it. If I was, then I would. It just kind of seems logical,
yeah,
doesn't it? So we keep pumping education out
exactly.
there, but really what we're waiting for is kind of like I say often, is we're waiting for that Angry Birds of the Dapp world that kind of brings people in. They
Yeah,
pick it up, they use it, they find it fun. They don't even know they're interacting with blockchain, but the whole experience is seamless and wonderful. And we'll get there, man. We'll get there. Oh, I've just had another question.
yeah.
Why do the questions always come at the end? Guys, listen to me at the beginning. I always ask for the questions. All right, dude. So I've got a question. Are there any musical influences that you found particularly inspiring to you in crafting the Lil Bubble persona? Interesting.
I guess you'd have to say Weird Al Yankovic, being a parody artist. He was like the main,
Yeah.
he was the main kind of the parody guy. So shout out to Weird Al. Yeah, as a kid, he was huge, and he's done all the crazy parody hits, and he's probably the first person that comes to mind
Pretty
when
right.
anybody mentions parody music. But yeah, no, Lil Dicky is another one that's kind of
Okay.
cool. I like Lil Dicky. He's a funny rapper that kind of raps a bit in a like bit tongue in cheek. Yeah, a bit of a parody esque manner. Apart from that, though, like it's just all the musical influences from my youth and growing up.
Yeah.
In different bands, and rock, metal, rap, hip hop, R&B, all the styles that I kind of grew up on and loved, and was messing around producing over the years. That kind of all got spewed out together in Lil Bubble, which is really fun.
Cool, man. It's very cool. All right, dude. Well, we're coming towards the end of the session, and yeah, the last question I've got for you is, what can we expect to see from Little Bubble in 2022 and beyond? Is it more satire? We got the album dropping, NFTs. Tell us a bit, man. Why should people be searching you out on Google? What's coming?
Yeah, so the album's coming first and foremost, and I guess the parodies will always be there. They're the staple of Lil Bubble, and that's what the audience really likes, and that's what I like to create as well. So they'll still be going on as usual, but like I said, yeah, just trying to up the production capacity and output. So just releasing more of the same, and there'll be obviously original music and some more polished music videos. So I really want to kind of establish Lil Bubble as his own artist. I guess there's a lot of positives in being I guess you'd call it a meme artist, in that I got traction very easily, as a lot of the content is very meme friendly, very shareable, and there's a high potential for kind of going viral and stuff. But on the downside, I've noticed kind of the artistry gets overlooked and it's hard to kind of be taken seriously, which sounds like a bit of a cop out, being expected to be taken seriously as a joke project. But so kind of that's what I want to softly bring into the project is some music that kind of establishes Lil Bubble as his own artist. He'll always be like the tongue-in-cheek, fun little Lil Bubble character that he is. But I think there's a lot of potential there to expand the character as his own kind of musical being, and just start putting out more and more content. The NFT collection, the album, and just keep engaging with the community and go from there.
Very cool, man. It sounds like this was a good time for us to have a chat, and it's a bit of a not like a pivotal moment, but you're kind of headed into the next chapter of this Lil Bubble persona and where you want to take it. And I think it's very cool that you want to start kind of introducing your own sounds. I mean, let's be real here. At the end of the day, you're a musician, you want to gain respect for your musical work and what you're doing. So it's a great way in. I think you've kicked the doors in of the music industry, which is the hardest part to do, man. So fair play. That's very difficult to do. So right. So that's all the time we've got for today in today's session. I really want to thank you today for joining in with me, man, all the way over from Australia. And telling us about his project today. And I hope everyone out there has learned something. And if you're listening back on YouTube, obviously you can unpack everything and just kind of dive in at your own convenience. So I just want to say to you, man, keep doing what you're doing. Creativity always gets discovered, and you've got it in spades, man. So keep going. I'm really liking what you're doing. So my hat goes off to you, man. It's not easy. So yeah, anything you want to say to the...
Thank you, my friend.
Good, man. Like, I hope we meet one day, man. I want I want you to give me a rendition of something live. Like,
yeah, definitely. If we're ever at the same event, definitely come up and we'll have a drink. And just thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it. Shout out to you and DappRadar and everybody listening. And thanks again.
Good, man. All good. All right. So tomorrow here on Discord, 3 p.m. UTC, we've got the research team at DappRadar to present their Dapp Market Movers show. Don't miss that one. They dive into all the recent happenings in NFTs and DeFi to uncover the latest trends and opportunities. As we were both saying earlier, it's very difficult to stay on top of what's going on in this space. So let us do it for you and read a little 5-minute article that sums up a whole week. Much easier. Also, don't forget to check out the other show I do with DappRadar and my two lovely colleagues, Rob and Charlie. It's called Off the Blockchain. It's on YouTube every Thursday. We're not quite as big as Lil Bubble yet, but we're getting there, I might sing some songs one time and boost those listeners a little bit. But we dive into all the hottest topics, give you some of our own opinions. Obviously not financial advice, just our opinions. So that's it from me. It's goodbye, and it's goodbye from Lil Bubble. I wish everyone to have a wonderful day. I'll catch you all soon. Take care, everyone.